Well, good evening. If you haven't found your seats yet, please go ahead and do so. Or this is a good chance to go get another drink before dinner comes out, if you don't want to listen to me talk. My name is Colin Hastings. I'm the Executive Director of the Pasco Chamber of Commerce. Just a few housekeeping items. If you haven't done so already, your meal choice is in your name tag. So if you haven't done so already, put that out on your place setting. And that way you'll get the desired meal that you requested. Also, during the evening, if you would like some coffee, ask your server, and they'll be happy to bring it out to you. And then if you haven't taken part yet of our donated wine by Mercer Estates, you'll find the bar dedicated there too. So thank you for them for helping us out this year and providing us with the wine. So yes, thank you. Now, that's something that has been kind of an annual tradition now. I'd like to invite Walt Neff to come up, and he's going to provide this year's invocation. Walt?
Thank you, Colin, and welcome everybody. Before I start, if you're wearing a hat, a Western hat, I'd appreciate it if you take it off and hold it in your lap. I mean, it may cost $300 or $500, but it just looks better if you don't have a hat on tonight. All right, and I also want to welcome each and everybody here tonight. We got a beautiful crowd. So, and one other thing I'd like to say tonight, when you think about it a minute, we've lost some really nice people, especially Steve Knutson's Meats. And think about him a minute. Not him, but think about Leanne, his wife. You know, that losing somebody like that, the sting and death is terrible. We all know that. Anyway, if everybody would bow their head, I'll say grace, and then we can commence to eat. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for all of us being able to get together and enjoy this presentation. May this food help nourish and strengthen your bodies. And may we remember the Lord. He was able to give us something really special. Jesus died for us so we can go to heaven and be with our friends. Forgive us from our sins, if you can. Some of us need forgiven. Some of us may not need forgiven that much, but do forgive us from our sins. Thank you for the moisture and the rain. I won't stay up here very long and talk. Jeff asked me not to talk so much, so I'm not going to. We ask all this in Jesus' name, with thanksgiving. Amen. Was that short enough? Hey, Jeff, was that short enough? Okay.
Oh, once again, another great invocation from Walt Neff. Next, I'd like to invite Miss Tri-Cities, Haley Fisher, to come up and to perform our national anthem. So if you please rise. Yeah.
Check. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, thank you, Haley. Thank you, Walt, once again. Welcome to the 22nd Annual Ag Hall of Fame Gala and Induction Ceremony. You know, the Ag Hall of Fame was formed quite a while ago now, back in 2000, to recognize and honor those individuals that have made significant contributions to the agricultural community throughout the whole Mid-Columia region. I do want to thank the Port of Pasco, the Pasco Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and Board President Rob D. Piazza, Chamber staff, and of course the Ag Hall of Fame Committee for their commitment to the continuation of acknowledging our agricultural leaders. I do want to take a moment and introduce elected officials that have joined us here today and dignitaries. First, with the City of Pasco, we have Council Member David Milne. Let's recognize this. There you go, back there. From the Port of Pasco, we have Commissioners Vicki Gordon, Gene Reichman, and Jim Klindworth. Thank you. Please stand up. We have Franklin PUD Commissioner Stu Nelson. I think he's somewhere tucked in the crowd. There he is back there. He doesn't want to stand up, but let's give him a round of applause. I said I was going to be nice to Stu, so I'm going to continue on with that. Also want to introduce, of course, we heard the great rendition from Miss Tri-Cities Haley Fisher. And also we have Benton Franklin Rodeo Queen Taylor Wolf, and she's sitting right back there. There she is. Wave down. I like that. Got to do the wave. You know, this event would not be possible without the hard work of dedicated individuals that have spent nearly a year in preparation for tonight's event. I'd like to ask the Ag Hall of Fame committee members to rise and to be recognized, and if we can hold their applause, our applause afterwards, but I do want to acknowledge their hard work throughout the year. Jason Hogue, Dick Mulbire, Gary Middleton, he's at the emeritus status, he and a couple other folks, Lori Lancaster, who can't make it here tonight, Ed Ray, the godfather of the Pasco Chamber, emeritus status, Barb Davis, Walt Neff, emeritus, Lana Klein, Bruce LePage, you guys aren't standing, you're supposed to stand up, Cindy Hayes, Jerry Ringwood, Merle Booker, Karen Blazard, and soon joining the committee is going to be Tara Wiswall. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. So if you're inspired this evening to recommend an individual who you think is well-deserving of becoming a member of the Ag Hall of Fame, feel free to contact the Pasco Chamber, and we can help you with your nomination for that deserving individual or individuals. As a matter of fact, we're efforting maybe making it a little bit easier and having an online portal for this next coming in 2024 so that you're able to upload the documents so this committee can do a really hard job of actually going through all the great nominations and selecting those to be honored. I do want to take a moment and introduce those past inductees that have joined us here tonight. Again, if you could please stand and hold your applause. We have quite a few folks that are joining us here tonight that are in the Ag Hall of Fame. Barb Davis, Dorothy Shepik, who, by the way, was the inspiration to get this going. So Dennis Munden, Jeff and Vicki Gordon, please stand up. Karen Blazard, Jennifer Yoakum, Ramona Ramarayan, Lana Klein, Jared Balcom, Merle Booker, Lori and Scott Hales, Lyle Holt, Don Kinnan, Sam and Helica Martinez, Dick Mulbire, Dennis Munden, I said that twice. Dennis, you get double props. Heidi Shattuck, and Butch and Judy Wiswall, as well as many family members in attendance tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to acknowledge those inducted Ag Hall of Famers that have passed since we've last gathered. To the memory of Rella Ryman and Jack Williams, please join me in honoring them and their families with a moment of silence. Now you can clap. I think that's appropriate. So special recognition does go to our title sponsor, the Port of Pasco, who helped inspire and carry forward the Ag Hall of Fame vision for now more than 22 years. I also want to recognize our pace setter sponsor this year, Tire Factory. I'd like to introduce Ryan Weld to provide us a message for this year's event. Ryan, if you can come up.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's an honor to stand here before all of you today and recognize the achievements of each and every one of you in the ag industry. I have to say that I've got a few different stores, and I've got to say the ag industry is truly the backbone of our area, without a doubt. And I see that dealing with the different entities that I deal with across the area, and the ag is where it comes from. And it's all of you, what you inspire, how you've coached and teached others around you. As we honor those tonight, there's a few of them that we're honoring tonight in the inductees that are training our future ag people in our industry. And it's an honor to be here tonight, and we'd like to thank all of you from the bottom of the Tire Factory team, Tire Factory's heart, and thank you for this evening. Have a wonderful time.
Well, I'm honored to introduce an individual who, through the vision under the direction of the Port of Pasco Commissioners, has helped continue the growth of the Ag Hall of Fame. He understands the importance of agriculture in the Mid-Columia and is best known for his dedication to this event and to the economic development of the Port of Pasco and the greater Pasco region. Please welcome to the podium our MC for the rest of the evening, Randy Hayden, Executive Director of the Port of Pasco. Thank you.
Good to see you all back again. I was wondering whether or not we could duplicate the success of last year's crowd with the Martinez taking up half the room, and I think you've done it. So thanks for being here to make sure that we had a full room today. Well, Colin, it really is an honor for the Port of Pasco to be asked to participate in the Ag Hall of Fame. It's just such a wonderful event. It really does celebrate the leaders in our ag community that we have here in the greater Tri-Cities region, and it's really what the Port focuses on, so it's really a privilege for us to be here and part of this. And on behalf of the Port Commission, I just want to thank you for the chance to participate as a sponsor in the Ag Hall of Fame. The other folks that really have worked hard on this is the Ag Hall of Fame Committee, and I'd like all of us to join in thanking them for the hard work that they put in putting this event together. So thank you, Ag Hall of Fame Committee. So over the years, over 90 well-deserving farmers and ranchers have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. You can see a lot of them up on the walls here, and it's fun to come back every year and see a few more hanging on the walls. We've got just a great number of alumni here in our Ag Hall of Fame. Candidates are judged on their contributions not only for improving agricultural practices, but they also have to stand out among their peers because of their community involvement and their unselfish acts of community service. And we certainly have inductees who have surpassed those expectations. The Ag Hall of Fame awards for this year include the Pioneer, 2 Ag Advisor Awards, and a Stewardship Award. And if you've been here before, you might have noticed that we don't have a Visionary Award this year, but don't panic. It's just taking a one-year hiatus, and we will be back with a Visionary Award next year as well. And we can only choose a few inductees every year, but there are many, many deserving nominees. But it's just no easy task with the amazing crop of talent that we have in our ag communities. I'm sure all of you can attest to. Producing an event of this caliber requires a lot of help. And thankfully, we have a wide array of generous sponsors who have graciously contributed to this evening's festivities, and I'd like to recognize them at this time. Sponsors, would you please stand as I read your name and remain standing so that we can applaud after all the sponsors have been recognized. Starting with our pace setter sponsor, again, Tire Factory, Ryan Weld. Our Ag Advisor sponsor, RDO Equipment, Jared Bailey. Our Pioneer Award sponsor, Wheatland Bank, Bill Shibley. Our Ag Advisor sponsor, Ag West Farm Credit, Mandy Galbraith. Our Stewardship Award sponsor, Basin Pacific Insurance, Brad Toner. Our program sponsor, Benton Franklin Fair and Rodeo, Lori Lancaster. Our Keep Farmers Moving sponsor, McCurley, John Inman. Our reception sponsor, if you all enjoyed that, was Jason Hogue, American Family Insurance Agency, and BNSF, Johan Hellman. Our media sponsor, Tri-Cities Area Journal of Business and KView. Our supporting sponsor, Washington Potato Commission, Chris Voigt. Please help me thank them with a round of applause. And I think it's also worth noting that many of these sponsors have been sponsors year after year, so we appreciate that continued support of this great event. All right, so without further ado, let's get on to our inductee awards. Our first award is the Ag Hall of Fame Ag Advisor category. This recognizes individuals in ag advancement and education programs and similar organizations who have influenced ag industry through their leadership, guidance, and community involvement. This award is sponsored by RDO. Would you please help me welcome to the stage Karen Blazard, who will tell us a little bit about our first of two 2023 Ag Hall of Fame Ag Advisors, Carol Travis.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Bay. I happen to be Carol's ag teacher when she was in high school. And I've taught agriculture for 28 years. I am now retired, but happily helping my husband farm dryland wheat in the Reardon area. Yes, I am proud to say that Carol, I am the one who unleashed Carol into the world of agriculture. If you know Carol, she is very, very enthusiastic, very passionate about what she teaches, and it's all about her kids as well. For Carol did find a home in a safe place in the horticulture program at Ferris High School where she grew up. She attended every single away career development event. For us, we always had to go to the other side of the state to do the floriculture and nursery landscape contests. And so we had together have put on very, very huge amount of miles in the fan. They were a really great, fun time and was able to do a lot of achievement with Carol. I also hired her as our summer worker, so she worked in the greenhouse to take care of it throughout the summer, which was actually her first job. I watched her through the journey, through those years, and she laid out a goal for herself when she was a junior in high school. For one of those career development events, coming back from the West Side, she'd say, "Miss Bay, I want to be just like you. You're my mentor." Boy, that freaked me out. I am so happy she is being honored tonight, for she did set out her goal for a long time ago. And we know it's through hard work, being very passionate about what she has done. And many of you now know she's a very happy person, and it's a very happy day for her. So I get to carry on the story of Carol Travis and what she has accomplished. And I have to say that the Ag Advisor of the Year award is one of my favorites because we get to celebrate all the people who have contributed to our youth and agriculture. And many of you in this room fall under this category. Carol rose to the top of the nominations this year, along with Charlie, because of a lot of the things that she has done in addition. And I want to just kind of share a story of the first time I met Carol about 12 years ago to help illustrate what she has done with these students at New Horizons High School. So it was an Ag Advisory Committee meeting, evening meeting at New Horizons. I walked into the classroom only to find 10 or 12 students working, eating pizza, working on assignments, doing floral arrangements, looking very, very comfortable and welcome in Carol's classroom. And as we were transitioning to the meeting, she was gently shooing them out, making sure they all had rides home. The ones that may be food insecure, she was sending the pizza home with them, and she was making sure that they were going to be coming back the next day. New Horizons is an alternative high school, and so most of the students there have not had any encounter with agriculture at all. And at that meeting, the first time I had met Carol, I was so impressed when she spoke with such enthusiasm and hope and encouragement about what her students were doing in the classroom and in FFA, and so I thought I should get to know her better. And what I found out was that Carol started the FFA chapter at New Horizons 12 years ago because of the impact agriculture had had on her life. She then built it from her career as a florist into one of the most successful programs at the school, and the FFA membership is the biggest in the school also. She also makes sure that her students have every opportunity possible. She takes them to career expos and commodity events, FFA competitions, college fairs, anything she can possibly do to give them opportunities and to show them that they can be successful and they can be leaders in their community. And she also emphasizes service. So you will often see her students helping at events like tonight, or doing face painting at Job's Nursery, or even designing the flower arrangements that you see on your table. In addition to all of this, Carol has worked hard to mentor other agriculture teachers in the region, especially new teachers. And she has won several awards from that, but the most impact that I see is those teachers then stepping up and being successful in their own classrooms and mentoring other students.
I have been teaching at New Horizons High School for 13 years. I got started in the ag industry when I was in high school. I actually was an FFA in Spokane at Ferris High School, and I joined the floriculture team and competed in flowers. My ag teacher saw something in me, and she always put me in leadership roles, and as I continued my journey in FFA, I realized that I wanted to be an ag teacher. What piqued my interest in agriculture education is because I love plants and flowers, and I also love making an impact in the lives of young people. And so I have the best job in the world. Giving back to the community is a main component of being an agriculture educator because you are part of the community. Our FFA motto has the term living to serve, where we serve others, and we do that by doing community service together. We have volunteered at the Second Harvest Food Bank. We volunteer at the fair. Whenever people need help, we're there to do it. A typical day for me starts at 7:30. When I show up at the high school at 7:40, I am out in the front wearing a fanny pack that plays music, and I greet students. And greeting students in the morning is one of my most favorite parts of the day. And then we jump into class. I have been fortunate enough to receive grants for technology and equipment, and so my students are using the same technology as they would in industry via gathering data to microscopes. Some advice I would give to someone younger who's looking into becoming an agriculture teacher is to jump on every single opportunity and not be afraid to fail. And when you become an agriculture educator, it is your life, and that's who you are, and that's what you do. And so it's a calling and a commitment, but it's very, very worth it.
Here to present the Ag Advisor Award is Jared Bailey with RDO.
On behalf of RDO Equipment and the Off family, we're pleased to present the Ag Advisor Award for 2023 Ag Hall of Fame.
I'm going to first start out by saying that this is overwhelming, and I've been here for years with these students, watching great people of agriculture walk across the stage, and to actually be a part of that is a lot. But here I am, and I'm going to tell you a story. This guy here said, don't worry about it, I got a lot to say, and apparently not. So I am a teacher, but not only am I a teacher, I'm an agriculture teacher. This was a dream of mine since I was in high school that I finally fulfilled. The first line in the agriculture teacher creed is, I am an agriculture educator by choice and not by chance. The second line is, I believe in American agriculture. I dedicate my life to its development and the advancement of its people. When I was in high school, agriculture teachers were like superheroes to me. My ag teacher changed my life. I learned early on that I wanted to someday be an agriculture teacher, but my journey wasn't traditional, and that makes absolutely perfect sense because I'm not a traditional teacher. And I don't teach at a traditional school, and I don't have a traditional program. However, my life experiences make me a perfect fit to impact my perfect untraditional students. They're here, and I love them so much. I didn't grow up on a farm. I was a city girl through and through. Though I was a tomboy, my sister was inside baking cookies while I was outside making mud pies. I always had a thing for soil. When I was young, my dad was a horse trainer, and we didn't have horses on the property, but he would take me out to go and see them, and he would put me on top of them because they wouldn't buck me off because I was so light until they did. And I learned from my dad that no matter what, you just get back on it. We had a garden because my parents were frugal, and we had to grow our own food, and I would spend hours in the garden. I even won the tallest corn stalk in the Spokane Interstate Fair. Thank you. It was a really big deal. I went to Ferris High School. When I started Ferris, I saw people walking around with flowers, and I said, I want to be in that class, but I wasn't able to join that class because you had to be a sophomore, and then you first had to take horticulture. So I signed up for a horticulture class, and that's where my story began. I was even able to be the fair summer worker, where I took care of the greenhouses in the summer. I was the chapter secretary and then was the chapter president. I was our district sentinel, and I competed in a lot of floral competitions. My ag teacher drugged me everywhere across the state. Because of that, I was third in state in my floriculture proficiency. I was able to earn my state FFA degree, and I was able to go to the National FFA Convention in Kansas City. My ag teacher was my role model, and she believed in me. She taught me to step out of my comfort zone, how to deal with tragedy, how to have grace, and how to never give up. I knew in high school that I wanted to be an ag teacher just like her. And so I enrolled at Spokane Community College in hopes to get a transfer degree, but life circumstances happened. My mom was very sick and ultimately lost her battle to cancer. But because of my skills that I've obtained through my high school and horticulture and floriculture classes at SEC, I was able to enter the industry and help my family. I started working at Yolks in 2000. I started at Airway Heights and eventually moved into floral management. I moved here to the Tri-Cities as a Pasco floor manager when I was only 22. I remember thinking, why in the world are we building a store here? Because there was literally a bar, 2 gas stations, and fields of potatoes. Now it's like a city. My floral family became mothers that I didn't have. They gave me confidence and advice, and they are my mentors and longtime friends. I made the Pasco floral department the #1 floral department in the company, and it is still that way today. My ag teacher and I always remained in contact, and one time she called me and she said, Carol, are you still interested in being an ag teacher? And I'm like, heck yeah, but that ship has long sailed. And she said, oh, no, it hasn't. Because of your industry experience, you could become an ag teacher, and there's a job opening in Pasco. So I applied. They didn't hire me. They hired my good friend, Rainey McKernan, and that taught me, or that invited me in to be part of their agricultural advisory, and I became a part of the community. I was a guest speaker in the classroom, and I was a chaperone, and I did lots of things with them. When Chihuahua opened, I thought, yes, this is my chance. However, the CTE director at the time, Chris Martinson, thought, I have a better idea for you. I want you to start a program at New Horizons. And I'm like, New Horizons, what is that? And he said, well, it's our alternative program for the Pasco School District. And I went there and I toured the school, and I toured a jewelry class that April Audi taught, and I saw the kids there. Later on, I was invited to their graduation, and their stories and the adversities that they have overcome made me realize, like, this is my school. This is where I'm meant to be. It's hard to explain New Horizons High School because we have 300 kids with 300 different reasons of why they're there. We work with students who don't fit in to the big system because they have anxiety or they're credit deficient, they're teen parents, or they might even be homeless. Sometimes they just need a smaller setting with more teacher time. They need individual support with people who know and care about them. And we meet as a school a wide variety and a wide range of students. What I never knew about teaching is that my students would teach me. They taught me that not everyone wants to be at school. They taught me that not everyone loves plants and flowers. But they also taught me that every student needs an adult who believes in them. Every student needs to feel a connection and have a relationship to an adult. My program is unique because I've developed and sustained a successful and functioning FFA program at an alternative high school. There are only a couple of us in the country. I provide students with experiences that they wouldn't get anywhere else in agriculture. I get asked the question all the time, like, why do you stay there? Or I get sought after from other schools, like, come teach with us. And they ask me why I stay, and the reason why is because I love my kids. I feel like I'm put into their lives to make an impact that could be life-changing, just like it was life-changing for me. I can easily relate to their adversities and can use my own life experiences to help them overcome obstacles. And I love it. And I love greeting students every single morning. I wear a fanny pack that plays music, and it's on the happy station, and they say good morning, and I know for some of them, that's the first positive experience they have in their day. That when I make them play a game about animals, and I make them make animal sounds like heifer, heifer, and ram, ram, and they'll do it only to come to find out that, Miss, why are we learning about animals in a plant science class? Oh my God, wrong lesson for the wrong class. But they believe in me, and they like, she's so happy to do it, I might as well. And that's the culture that we built in our class, because we believe in each other. I love to get to experience their first time experiences, such as the first time leaving the Tri-Cities or spending a night away from home, the first time in a leadership role, the first time speaking in front of people. It's important to me, or their first time finding success. And that is really the greatest reason why I love my job, is to seeing that. I couldn't do that without my program has grown. We have started out as a floriculture program. We grew into teaching introduction to agriculture, foods, and natural resources, and plant science, ag business, and ag leadership. And now we are starting an ag enterprise program where they will create a product and market it and sell it. I truly believe into the three-circle model of FFA, having a supervised agriculture experience and having that classroom instruction. But I couldn't do it without community support. Community is the reason that my students have the opportunities that they do. We have worked on the Team Pasco Health with the support of Weatherby, installing irrigation systems and landscaping. Even when it's raining, even when it's 120 degrees, we're out there. We have worked with Job's Nursery, where we help with community events and they give us continuous support. I have partnered with CBC and worked alongside Karen to get dual credit for my students on campus. Now my students have a direct path to further their education in agriculture because of their support. I have a partnership with Ag Association Management that provide leadership roles for my student and also helps us fund our banquets. And the Pasco Chamber of Commerce, they give my students experiences and also become our peak partners and support our entire school. I've gotten numerous grants, over $200,000, so my students can have the technology that we use in industry and help them be prepared for life beyond high school. It's important to me that the community supports my students just as I do, and that our program is also given back to the community following the Living to Serve motto. I never knew that providing my students with opportunities would lead me to the opportunity to mentor and support teachers all over the country. I'm able to present workshops at the state and regional level. I was asked to be a case lead teacher, and I teach teachers in the summertime how to implement the case curriculum so they can impact their students. I am also a National Agri-Science Teacher Ambassador, that we can show our students inquiry-based learning, that our students are using science and inquiry. The greatest award that I received was I was chosen to be the Washington State Peer Mentor, because that means that I taught new teachers and I gave them the help, the support, and they needed, because too many teachers are leaving in the industry. There's an agriculture teacher shortage, and programs are being shut down because we don't have enough people to fill the role. So if you ever thought about teaching, come talk to me. Or Laura Jones, she's here too, and we'll get you certified and you could be an ag teacher too. I love giving back to my profession. And there are many, many people I need to thank. And I would like to thank my husband. He's my high school sweetheart and my soulmate. He spent so many hours helping me produce my crazy ideas to make them a reality in my classroom. He's a volunteer for my school, and he serves on our advisory committee. He is gracious enough to spend many hours alone while I'm teaching others. To my family that always supports me and encourages me through my most difficult times. My ag teacher, who saved my life and taught me what it truly means to be a teacher, who helped me make my prom, corsage, and also did my wedding flowers, and stepped in to be my role model. To Karen Melsom in my Yokes Floral community for teaching me work ethic and building my confidence so I could teach others how to run a business. My ag teacher family, who I know is only a call away. My New Horizons High School family. My friends and colleagues who support me and my program. My ag advisory members who dedicate their time outside of their lives to support me in my program. My principals, Brian Levitt, and my current principal, Seth Johnson, who are my biggest champions. The Pasco School District, who doesn't say no, but says yes, and let's figure that out. And to my students, and if you're a student of mine, or if you're a past student, can you please stand up? These are the ones who give me my gray hair, but they also give me the opportunity to be a part of their lives and are the reason why I'm up here today, and they are truly the future of agriculture. I would like to thank the Ag Hall of Fame for honoring and supporting the teaching profession. I will leave you with the last line of the Agriculture Creed, which is, my love for youth will spur me on to impart something from my life that will help make for each of my students a full and happy future. With all my heart, I hope that all of you will do the same. I'm honored and thankful for this award. Thank you.
Boy, there was just a little bit of passion in that speech, and I can't believe that you were nervous about speaking. You did such a good job, and I think you need a little mini session over here for those of us who get choked up with emotions and can't talk. Saul Martinez, I'm looking at you somewhere out there. How to talk through that. Good job. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to our second award of the night, also honoring an ag advisor, which again recognizes individuals in ag advancement and education programs. And this award is sponsored by Ag West Farm Credit Services. Would you please help me welcome to the stage Hadley Beher and Presley Dancy, who will tell us a little bit about our second Ag Hall of Fame Ag Advisor, Charlie Dancy.
Good evening. It is an honor to be here and to introduce one of the inductees into the Pasco Chamber of Commerce Ag Hall of Fame. His career in agriculture education began in 2000 when he obtained his first agriculture teaching position at Madison School District in Rexburg, Idaho, where he taught for 11 years. These were great years, and his students had many successes competing in FFA leadership events. He even had a few students go on to become state officers in Idaho. After some time, there was a new opportunity for his family, and in 2011, he moved his family to Warden, Washington, to start a new teaching job at Warden High School. He taught in Warden for 7 years, where, again, his FFA students placed in many FFA leadership events. He now teaches at Connell High School, where he has been supported and given many opportunities to share his many talents. During his time at CHS, he has brought the Drive Your Tractor to School Day to Connell, which has been a great addition to the agriculture program at Connell. It has given the school and community another reason to come together and do great things.
He has also been able to continue to offer students an equal opportunity for success, which is what Charlie has a real passion for. He gives each student an equal opportunity to learn and participate in FFA regardless of their agricultural background. Throughout the years, I remember keeping fair animals at our home for students that wanted to show animals at the fair but lived in town. He has spent the last couple years working alongside his colleagues at Connell High School to offer the first ever CDL course in Washington State for seniors at Connell High School. Students have the opportunity to get certified in the classroom and then put in their drive time to become a certified truck driver. This sets students up for success that are wanting to transfer into the workforce right after graduation. It also gives them options and opportunities that they might not otherwise possess. Through these actions, it is clear that his students' success is a priority for him. Whether it's inside the classroom or out, any student would claim to be his favorite. When you're with him, he makes you feel like the most important person in the room. Tonight, we are proud to introduce our dad, Charlie Danzy.
I enjoy working with the students. It's probably the most enjoyable part of my profession, and I really enjoy them while I have them in class. But it is really fun to check up on them and see how they're doing after they graduate, what they're doing, and I think that's the satisfying part about being an agriculture teacher. I got started in the industry probably because of my ag teacher when I was in high school. He was always in the community, working with students. He'd come by and check projects. He really enjoyed what he did, and he was good at what he did, and I think I just kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. When I think of Franklin County, North Franklin, it is agriculture. That's what we are. That's everything about us is agriculture. The kids that we teach every day, the majority of their parents are in the agriculture industry, and it's the breadbasket of the United States. We grow hundreds of different crops and grow them well. A way I've given back to the community would be trying to implement things that they need in industry, in agriculture industry. For example, we started a CDL program here at North Franklin School District. I think we're maybe the second or maybe third school district in the nation to ever implement a CDL program at the high school level. I would like my legacy to be, when I'm finished teaching, that I was a teacher that made a difference.
Here to present the Ag Advisor Awards to Nancy Galbraith with Ag West Farm Credit Service.
Good evening. Ag West, formerly Northwest Farm Credit, we're really proud to present tonight's Ag Advisor Award. We had the privilege of working with Charlie up with his CDL program at Connell, and it's an amazing program. There's been so much interest, and we were really fortunate just to get to know more about that program. So, Charlie, thank you for all that you've done to promote wherever you are, agriculture within our youth. It's really critical, so we appreciate all you've done.
I got some really good advice today from my dad. He said, "I've never heard a really good long speech, but I've heard a lot of really good short ones." So I got the point. When I first started teaching it at Connell, I was walking through the beef barns at CBJLS, and I ran into legend, Mr. Lyle Holt.
And I introduced myself to Lyle, and Lyle gave me a little advice. He said, if you will do a good job here, the community will support you and give you whatever you need. If you don't, you'll be short-lived. I am grateful for his advice. As it was mentioned earlier, we did start a CDL program at North Franklin School District, and it wasn't easy. It was a challenge, a real challenge. For about 5 years, it was a challenge. Until our superintendent, Mr. Jacobs, got on the phone with OSPI and cleared a few things up, and we were approved, and we were able to start the CDL program. And I won't mention what he said to OSPI. I want my job tomorrow. As Lyle mentioned, if you'll do a good job, you'll have community support. So true. I received a text from the Cattlemen's Association, and they wanted to meet with myself, and they wanted me to bring some students. Crete Scott was one of them. There was Cash Haley and a couple other students, and we gave the Cattlemen's a little presentation about our CDL program and explained to them that we needed a semi-truck. And lo and behold, short period of time later, we had a semi-truck. I called Jennifer Nilsson at Valley Ag and needed a trailer. And she said, I'll get back with you. She got back with me and said, we got a trailer. And I go, well, how much? What are you wanting for it? It's for the ag program, CDL program. We're donating it. I needed curriculum. It's a federal mandated run program now, and I needed certain curriculum to meet the criteria, the standards set by the federal government. And it's fairly expensive. It's $80 to $100 a seat. CHS covered the cost of that through a grant that Jara Scott wrote. Christensen Lubricant has donated so much. They bought us hats, shirts, sweaters, whatever else we need. They're always willing to provide. We also received a nice, generous donation from Northwest Farm Credit Services. So appreciative of them. Kevin Gomez donated a bunch, very supportive of our program. There's one individual, though, that I'd really like to thank at this time. And I would not have been able to run the CDL program or even get it going without this individual. Last year when I started the program as our first year and I was nervous, I was stressed out. I wanted it to be a success. We fought so hard to get it. And Jara Scott did so much. Weekends, after school, worked her heart out so that this would be a success. So thank you, Jara. There are so many people that I'd like to thank, and I know I'm going to miss a few of them. My wife told me on the way here to the dinner tonight, she said, if you start naming names, you're going to be in trouble. There's so many people to thank, but I'd just like to name just a few more. Rob and Randy Davis have been a huge support to our program. Scott and Lori Hells have been amazing friends and supporters of our ag program. And I don't know what their secret is about raising good kids, but they do. Their kids are awesome. They have personalities and they work hard, and that's what I like. Terry and Jamie Utek have done an excellent job with the trap shooting program that they started at Connell. They spend a lot of time with the kids on the weekends, and their daughter's moved on to go to college, and Terry and Jamie still work extremely hard to make sure that those kids have a good time shooting trap. Kind of in closing here, I've been asked quite a few times, why Connell? Why do you want to teach at Connell? And there's two reasons that I want to teach at Connell. There's two reasons I did want to teach at Connell. One reason is I teach with one of the best ag teachers to ever walk into a classroom. Heidi Shattuck, you know her. She is amazing. Incredible teacher. Justin Palmer's is great as well. But I wanted to start the CDL program, and I knew that I'd have the support from the community and what it would take to get that going. I'd like to share a real quick story that happened just the other day. Kind of humbling, but kind of proud. I had a student say, Mr. Danzy, I finished my project. I want to build something special, and it's got to be a surprise. I said, all right. There's a whole stack of lumber over there. Whatever's in those barrels, you can use it. You build yourself something special. Because it's special. I got to have a good piece of lumber. I can't just use that. I said, all right. So he got a big piece of pine. I'm like, oh, geez. All right. Well, he wrote on this wood, he wrote best teacher. I thought, geez. How cool is that? Best teacher. That's nice. And he went to take it from the classroom, and I go, well, thank you, and he goes, it's not for you. He said, it's for your wife. And I go, why do you guys like Mrs. Danzy? They go, well, because she demands respect, and she can get you in all kinds of trouble, but she still likes you. And I thought, that's how all teachers need to do. They need to demand respect, but they need to forgive and move on too. But that's just the way she is, and I'm so thankful for my wife, my family, for my parents coming up from Idaho to support me. I'm grateful for our North Franklin School District. I don't know how I am for time real quick. Is it getting heavy? Am I good? Okay. One last real quick story. And I hope I don't get fired for this. I hope I'm still have a job. But it was about the first or second year I started teaching at Connell, and we were in the shop. It was over at Winterfest. We were getting ready for the Winterfest at the parade there at Connell. And we're working with these students in the shop, and I could hear a tire squealing, like just barking, and smoke coming up, and just. So I told a couple of the students, I said, go tell the idiot to leave. Like, we don't need that right now. We're trying to get. So one of them left and come back, and they go, I'm not me. You go tell him. who is it? Go check. I walked out and checked, and it was Jim Jacobs, our superintendent. And after I experienced that, the kids told me that, and I noticed it was him, I was like, you know what, this is how we roll at North Franklin School District. This is my kind of deal. I love it here. That's the kind of leadership that we have. I was poked out. I was so proud that the superintendent would do something like that. I'm so thankful for this opportunity to be inducted. Thankful for all of you coming. How cool is this? I'm very honored. Thank you.
Charlie, thank you. I'm glad we got the short speech. You know, our ag advisors, it's tough to get kids into ag anymore. So just applaud our ag advisors for being those examples and those role models that really drive kids to want to pursue their education and careers in ag. So thank you very much to both of you. All right, at this point, we are going to take a break from the award presentations and invite Colin back to highlight a project the Ag Hall of Fame launched in 2017.
Obviously, to the dismay of some, I'm back. So I wanted to take a moment here, and actually, it's a great segue after hearing the last two great stories about our Cultivating Our Future grant. We established this in 2017 as a way to recognize youth programs, to introduce students to new and exciting farming and ranching options to youth, parents, and to the community members. And with that in mind, that's why the Ag Hall of Fame Committee came up with this. So this is an opportunity to help support the sustainability of this important industry in our region for future generations. This program supports opportunities for youth, high school or younger, for education, for research, to demonstrate and learn more about agriculture. The Cultivating Our Future grants are competitive grants for educators and their entities to provide programming to engage youth in agriculture. The annual portfolio of this grant is reviewed and awarded annually. This opportunity will be open to any organization that's focus is to educate and engage youth in agriculture. So this past year in 2022, the Cultivating Our Future grant awarded over $6,000 to the Pasco 49ers FFA chapter to help them get some FFA jackets and some attire, and then the Benton Franklin 4-H committee to help with fundraising to get a equipment and supply trailer. And tonight I'd like to have them come up and share their story. So please help me welcome the 49ers FFA advisor, AJ Lambert, and Benton Franklin 4-H Horse Committee advisor, Sue Duffy, and their students to have a little short presentation if they want to come up.
Good evening. So as he said, my name is AJ Lambert, and I'm one of the 3 ag teachers from Pasco High School here tonight, as well as the advisors of the Pasco 49ers FFA with Tana Smith and Jacob London. I also have our chapter president, Liv Rodriguez, and Kimber Boyer as our representatives tonight. I do want to say thank you to the Pasco Chamber of Commerce and the Port of Pasco for sponsoring the Cultivating Our Future grant. This grant bought us 38 corduroy jackets, which is amazing. Many of our students are not in the financial position to buy a corduroy jacket. And as you know, that is the quintessential piece to FFA members. And we try to provide jackets for them, but before this grant, our jackets fit a very narrow view of our students and a very few of our students. And so we now have students that can fit into jackets, as well as many more students that can wear jackets. So while the FFA jacket may say who the student is on the front and where they have come from on the back, it doesn't say how far they can go anywhere. So I want to thank you for giving my students this opportunity and being able to help prepare them for their future, both in ag and in education and their careers. And I do have Kimber, who has a few words as a representative from our chapter.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kimber Boyer. I'm currently representing the Pasco 49ers FFA chapter. I'm the 2022-2023 FFA chapter secretary. Tonight with me, I have our fellow FFA officers, Liv Rodriguez, Hunter Smith, and Andrea Alvea. I'm sorry, Andrea, I messed up your last name. Anyways, I'm a second-year FFA member. So coming from not knowing what FFA was, having Lambert as a freshman, she tried to convince me, oh, join FFA, join FFA. I didn't till sophomore year, which is crazy. I'm upset I didn't do it sooner. These jackets and the grant that we were thankfully approved has helped our chapter tremendously. So thank you to the Columbia Basin Ag Hall of Fame for granting us this opportunity for our new jackets. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I already broke it. Ooh, do you want me to hand it to you? I'm going to hand it. Okay. Thank you, Colin, and thank you for everybody for being here. I would also like to congratulate all the honorees tonight. My name is Sue Duffy, and for most of you in the room that I do not know, I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the Benton Franklin 4-H Horse Committee. The Benton Franklin 4-H Horse Committee serves a diverse group of 4-H and FFA horse enthusiasts. In addition, part of my responsibilities are to be the horse superintendent during the Benton Franklin Fair. It is my pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you in person for your generosity. Following fair in 2021, we were faced with the need to find a utility trailer to house and transport our trail course equipment and gaming equipment that we use at fair. We learned of the Pasco Chamber Ag Hall of Fame Cultivating Our Future grant and applied. We were blessed to be a recipient in 2022, and thanks to your generosity and that of others, we now have a beautiful utility trailer to support our efforts throughout the year. I'm joined here on stage by some of my younger 4-H friends, Clay Lindenmeyer, Ellen Nielsen, and Tessa Stone, who would also like to express their appreciation.
Hello, my name is Hello, my name is Clay Lindenmeyer. I'm 9 years old, and this is my cousin. Hi, I'm Ella Nielsen, and I am 10 years old. We are both part of the 4-H Let's Ride Club and both part of the Horse Project. We also both brought posters of our horses, and we'd like to share a few things about them. This is me and my horse, Sky. He's turning 27 this year, and he's a Palomino Pinto Welsh. He also has one blue eye and really likes jumping and, gaming.
This is Rosie, and she is turning 18 this year. She has eyebrows, and she was rescued off of the Yakima Reservation, and she loves jumping.
Last year was the first time we went to fair. It was a great experience getting to bond with our horse, and I've never really experienced something like it. And tonight we came here, our favorite event there was gaming, and it took a lot of equipment like poles, barrels, flags, trail equipment, and we didn't have enough room to store it. So tonight we came here to thank the Pasco Chamber of Commerce and the AG Hall of Fame for donating money for storage and a trailer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tessa Stone. I'm 14 years old, an 8th grader at Mid-Columia Partnership in Kennewick. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the sponsors here tonight who have helped make this grant possible. And I would also like to thank Sue Duffy, our 4-H coordinator, for the countless hours she pours into all of us and securing this grant for our 4-H horse department. I'm fairly new to the 4-H community, but it's more than just a group that meets weekly and talks. It's a family that creates memories that last you a lifetime. Being so new to 4-H, I had 1,000 questions and I did not know where to start. Like, what in the world was a flying bleed change? Or what is a quartering system? There's so many things, you don't know. Thankfully, I had a great support system in my group Pasture Pals, whether that was my awesome leader, Brent Cook, who was so patient and kind to all of us with all of our questions, or my awesome group mates, which are great friendships that will be forever. I love 4-H. It has taught me so many things, not just how to be a better rider, but how to be a better person. And this grant has helped our entire 4-H horse department by allowing us to buy a trailer that we can haul and store all of our equipment, like they said, our barrels, poles, our trail course, and groups can borrow this trailer if they want to practice using our equipment, and it gives us a much easier way to transport all of our materials to other 4-H events that take place during the year, the fair, and clinics. So it's really great. And I pray that all of you will continue to pour into this grant to give other agricultural organizations opportunities to further their missions. And I want to thank you all for your support, and we'll leave you with our 4-H pledge. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessa. That's a tough act to follow, all these kids. They were enjoying watching my heart rate go from 52 to 142 in the because I don't like to public speak. But anyways, I'd like to close by sharing this trailer provides us the capacity to not only more effectively manage our needs at fair, but as the kids have mentioned, offer clinics and shows throughout the year and opportunities to practice with these obstacles and equipment that otherwise we would not be able to. Throughout 2023, we will be again hosting a youth clinic, excuse me, and in May, June, and July, May, July, and October, we provide a series of fun shows which offer events for everyone. We include classes for riders of all ages and abilities. So, thank you. So not only their generation, but my generation, and also adaptive riders. So please come and join us or cheer us on. Thank you again.
Same thing happened to me last week, too. I thought I was going to fall off the stage when my mouth got too dry. Well, I do have a special guest that I'd like to introduce to bring up to the stage. Most of you know him. Some of you might groan, but I'm going to have Merle Booker come up, and he's going to take us through the next portion of this. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Colin, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really not here to sell you anything tonight because these youngsters just did it. They just did it. They did a wonderful job, and as you can tell from our previous inductees, it's about education and educating our youth right here in Franklin County and the Pacific Northwest. It's you look around, and this is, as somebody said here earlier, this is an agricultural community, and this is what this program is all about. So I'm here to ask in a very persuasive way, is what Colin said, to collect as much money as we can for this grant. And unfortunately, I know a lot of you by face, and so I know that you're very supportive of ag and youth programs. So I'm going to start off with Collins went out and got Tidewater for $1,000, a barge company that gets a product up and down that Snake and Columbia River. Also, Mandy, I don't know why I can forget this. I wrote it down. Mandy Galbraith, and it's Northwest Farm Credit, but they've changed their name, and I haven't kept track of it close enough. Come on. Ag West, yes. And so they're at $1,000. So we're up to $2,000, and we'd like to get as much as possible. So anybody else in the room at $1,000 like to donate to this program? Just raise your hand. That's all it takes, right here. And I'm looking. What's your name, sir? Mountain States Construction. Thank you, Mountain State. Yes. Very good. This guy here, he's been up here. He does a great job. He hadn't been in the movies yet, but there's lots of stories about you, Ryan. Tire Factory. Thank you, Ryan. Anybody else at $1,000? Very nice donation. Well, I didn't check before I left, Camille or Austin, but they just donated on behalf of Booker Auction Company $1,000. They didn't know that, but they're. Oh, you'd like to make another one? Yeah. Kurt Schaefer, is that with Tippett Company? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Tippett Company, Bob Tippett and Kurt, Charles. Thank you very much. And who did I see just back here? I'm looking at, there he is. Page. Yes, Bruce LePage. I'm surprised you're off the ski hills. Don't you normally ski at this time of year? Tomorrow, all right. Anybody else at $1,000? Nice donation for this evening. You can certainly see that in the past it works. It does work. What about 500? Well, let's go around the room. Here's Mr. Davis and Barb, Bill Davis and Barb Davis. They've been here in the community. I don't know how Bill got here, but I do know because he found Barb up at Eastern. And yes, sir, Maury Balcom. Balcom and Mo, thank you. Oh, and Jared, yeah, certainly. Pass it along to children. If you think the children should, parents, just raise your hand. Yes. Lancaster Farms. Thank you, Steve Lancaster. And Ben Franklin Fair. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Just pass it around. Anybody else at 500? There's a pilot. Well, let's get Bill Ransom right here. Bob Ransom, not Bill. Bob Ransom. You still flying away too? Good. And the Hales, where are they at? Oh, way back there, the Hales family. Anybody else at $500? Anybody else at that? Oh, wait, there's. Oh, yes, that's Sally Dockstetter. She's still got her southern accent. Beautiful. Love it. And you're doing that on behalf of George. He's got to write the check? Probably. Anybody else at 500? Right here. Ken Miller. Thank you, Ken Miller. And Karen Miller. A Franklin County product. You went to school at Pasco. Your father was Ken, Franklin County Commissioner. Yes. A lot of history here in Franklin County. A lot of people that generation after generation. And what we're trying to do here tonight is fund the next generation. Anybody else at 500? Anybody else feel worthy tonight? What about 250? We'll just go around real quick. And I think there's Mr. Gordon, Bill and Vicki Gordon. Oh, Jeff, and 250 for who? Okay, 250 for Gordon Estate. Thank you, Jeff and Vicki. Wheatland Bank, thank you. Thank you, Lancaster and Bill. Donna? Peach pie back there from Prosser now. Don Kenyon and Donna Kenyon for 250. Thank you. Thank you very much, Donna. She makes some of the best peach pie. If you can get to her place, she lives over there in the valley now. Put your order in. I'll give you her phone number later. Anybody else at 250? Scott and Mandy Galbraith. They've been very instrumental in 4-H and FFA programs, helping throughout the basin. Anybody else at 250? I'll tell you what, it's a very good program. We, as a committee, look at these funds that we earn here tonight that's donated, and we get the requests from many different 4-H and FFA youth programs that are around the area, and we hope that it's always, like you've just seen, it goes to a very good cause. Sir, I see you with your hand up. Who is that? Gary Henley, yes, okay, thank you very much. 250. And if anybody else feels it coming on, and there's another gentleman. O'Neill Farms, thank you. I'm looking right in here to these lights, and then when it gets way back there, I didn't bring a big enough brow hat. Next time, I'll have to get one from Martinez. And I'm old, that's right, I'm getting older, but I'm still here, Jeff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your generous donations, and we've got some more great inductees tonight. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you, Merle. And on the back of your program, there's a way, if you didn't want the recognition, to donate. We also have a QR code, too, so you just point your camera at that, and it'll take you to an online format, too. So if you want to use your credit card that way, we thank you for all your support, and thank you to all the students that came up here. I'm going to hand it back to Randy. Have a good rest of your night.
Recalibrate here. All right, well, thank you for your generosity on that. And now we're going to get back to our final two awards. The first is one of my favorites, the Ag Hall of Fame Pioneer Award. Year after year, I'm amazed by the sacrifice and hard work and risk-taking of these early leaders in our ag industry. This category honors individuals who've had a significant influence on the development of agriculture and who have unselfishly served their communities. This award is sponsored by Wheatland Bank. Please help me welcome Ron Perkins as he inducts Harold Cox into the Ag Hall of Fame with the Pioneer Award.
Hello. Take this. Thank you for attending this event to recognize Harold Cox and to participate in his induction in the Ag Hall of Fame as a pioneer under the Pioneer category. It is important for us to recognize those who serve us, especially those who serve us in leadership capacities. I believe Harold was a pioneer in the development of the cattle industry and in the farming industry in the Yakima Valley and in the Columbia Basin. I would like to thank Steve Lancaster as representative of Wheatland Bank for sponsoring the 23 Pioneer Award, and thanks to Colin Hastings and the staff from the Pasco Chamber for putting on the event. Also thanks the Ag Committee for their work and effort they put into it. Many of Harold Cox's family members are here, and maybe you'll get a chance to meet them. It is an honor for me to nominate Harold Cox for this award. The background for my nomination is information I gained from working as the accountant for Harold Cox and his companies from 2012 to 2021. I really only somewhat knew Harold before that. I read articles in the paper about him, and there were many of them. Also, he would occasionally stop by the coffee with the coffee group at McDonald's on Court Street, and well, he would help us with, our job there. That was to save the world, So he could help that way. I became interested in his involvement in the community after learning he left a sizable bequest to the Washington Ag Forestry Leadership Foundation. I had heard about the foundation from several people over the years, some people who participated in their program. And the goal of the organization was to develop leaders for agriculture and forestry. In my mind, it was a question of why he made the bequest, and I didn't know that. But after the bequest was paid, I had several conversations with Sherry, that's his daughter, and she explained to me some of the things that Harold had done in the earlier years and some of the services that he had done. And I asked Sherry if the family had received public recognition for his work, and she said that they had gotten a really nice reply or response to the bequest, but really in the terms of his community service, he hadn't really been recognized. So we talked some more, and eventually I called Colin and asked him if he could send us a packet so they could look at it and ask him if they want to do that, nominate him. And they did, so we did. Great. Anyway, much of his service was in the years 70s, 80s, 90s, and so in order to get more information about what he did, I researched the archives of the Tri-City Herald newspaper articles extending back all the way to the 60s. What I find was nothing less than amazing. 39 articles, either featuring Harold Cox or a mention in him. Many articles announced the leadership positions he was appointed to in community organizations. There were several articles about what was going on, what Harold reported was going on in the cattle industry. And it seemed like Harold became the information pipeline for the Tri-City Herald for newspaper articles they wanted to write about the cattle industry. And they did write. Harold Cox said this about cattle prices going up and down, and he said this about projected cattle supplies. These are all articles about the mad cow disease, and on, several articles. Harold grew up in Outlook, Washington. His family raised potatoes, rutabagas, turnips, sugar beets, hay, and livestock. And when he was around 15, the parents moved the farm to to a 200-acre farm in the middle of the Yakima River. Think about it, the logistics. It would be a challenging thing. During those years, Harold learned a lot he needed to know about farming and raising cattle. He left high school early to help his dad when his dad got cancer. Later, he was drafted in the Army and he was sent to Korea. He spent just a short time there, and he was honorably discharged to go back and work at home on the farm. He got married in July of 1949, and he and his wife Bonnie moved to a farm in the Granger-Prosser area where they farmed on the Rosa Project. Sandra and Sandy, the two children, were born in 50 and 51. After that, Harold and Bonnie moved to a farm in Moses Lake for a short time. In 56, they purchased a farm in Patterson. It was there that Harold began his public service. He joined as a member of the Patterson School Board for several years before he became the school board chairman. In 63, Harold and Bonnie purchased a farm near Mesa, Washington. In 79, they sold that farm and they bought another farm north of Pasco. Throughout those years, Harold contributed in many ways to the development of the egg industry, and in particular, the cattle industry. He gave generously of his time, energy, and resources to the community. Part of the service led to improvements in wise stewardship of natural resources and improvements to livestock husbandry processes. He lived his entire life in the Yakima and Columbia Basin, Yakima Valley and the Columbia Basin area where he served. And he raised a lot of cattle during that time. Harold recognized the value of education. Even though he had to pause his own high school education, he never stopped learning. He worked to improve his knowledge and always supported education, particularly in agriculture. He learned a lot through his travels overseas. Many times the travel was as a representative of the National Cattlemen's Association. Harold was the organizer and the board member of the Washington Agricultural Forestry Foundation, Education Foundation. He was particularly passionate about providing opportunities to education and career options for young people. Therefore, when he died, he left a sizable bequest to that organization for the purpose of establishing an endowment for scholarships to help young people pursue careers in agriculture and forestry. Harold served for many years on the Washington State Cattlemen's Association Board. This including holding several offices, including leading as president. Also, he served for several years on the board of the Washington Cattlemen Feeders Association, which also included holding several offices as well as president, leading. Harold served as a member of the board of directors of the National Cattlemen's Association. In '91, he was appointed by the Secretary of Agriculture to represent cattle producers nationwide as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Promotion and Research Board. The board allocates the national dues paid by cattlemen for marketing and research programs designed to improve the industry. There he served on the Nutrition Research Committee. Harold served on the Franklin County Planning Commission for several years. He was awarded Citizen of the Month for October '73 by the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau for his efforts to bring Cattlemen Association 1973 convention of 500 delegates to the Tri-Cities. He headed up a group of cattlemen who overcame bids from Spokane, Yakima, and Ellensburg. He ran for State Representative 16th District, Position 2 in 1986. He was a board member and a member of the Executive Committee of the Washington Agriculture Council. He was a member of the Washington Association of Wheat Growers. He served as a charter member of the Benton County Farm Bureau. He was a member of the former Tri-City Board of Education, and he served on a committee which helped establish the Tri-City Cancer Center. Harold Cox was a true pioneer in the Yakima Valley and here in the Columbia Basin. His influence is still being reflected today in many ways. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Dad's favorite part about his profession was he liked the outside. He liked cattle. He did everything, but when it got down to it, he liked his horse, his cattle. I helped Dad on the farm. I did everything.
I showed up when I was 16 years old in January 1965. I helped Harold with the cattle, and we did some farming together, and I think he got started in the industry because he had to, because his father got sick and he was a senior in high school and he had to keep the farm running. He always leaned on me a little bit to help him get things done. Some advice I think Harold would give: find somebody to mentor you, somebody to help you get started. It gets pretty trying sometimes in agriculture, but if you stick with it and have a plan, and it'll work.
I started out as his accountant in about 2012. When he passed away and we did his estate, we worked on his estate, we found out he gave a sizable donation to the Ag Forestry Foundation, and that made me curious as to what caused him to do that. And so we did some research, and we found that he was the president of the Washington Cattlemen's Association and the Washington Cattle Feeders Association. He served on community boards, he served on school boards. Those are the kind of things that he did.
The legacy that Harold left was to be part of your community, and he always wanted to help anybody, young people, get started in the industry. And family was really important to him. Just learn at every corner what you can learn about the industry, whether it's in farming or cattle or whatever you decide to do it good.
Here to present the Pioneer Award is Bill Shibley with Wheatland Bank, and accepting the award for Harold is his daughter, Sherry Barrett, and son-in-law, Ron Worsham.
Hello, I'm honored to represent Wheatland Bank here at the Pasco Ag Hall of Fame, awarding the Pioneer Award. Harold and I go quite a ways back. I came in '94, and I think I started financing Harold in about '95. And I'm not sure it was an easy relationship for a young banker coming in, and Harold, I pretty quickly was about ready to kick him out of the office. We kept negotiating, and finally it was, damn it, Harold, that's all I can do. Had a great 20-year relationship after that. Really couldn't have been much better. Anyway, Wheatland Bank is honored to award this Pioneer Award to probably Bonnie and Harold, because Bonnie was as big a part of this, of the whole deal as Harold was. Wheatland Bank is the largest ag bank with roots here in eastern Washington, and honored to be here.
On behalf of our family, I'd like to thank the Pasco Chamber of Commerce and the Ag Hall of Fame Committee for honoring my dad with the Pioneer Award. He would be so pleased to know his efforts and activities in the community were noticed and appreciated. So thank you. While all of us in the family have many memories of living and working with my dad, I want to touch on the personal philosophies that drove both of my parents to the successes they shared in life and the contributions that they made to the community. It's very hard for me to think about my dad without thinking about my mother, Bonnie. They were very tied together. And a lot of his philosophy and principles were reinforced or even driven by my mom. This became very evident after she passed away. They were the ultimate team. My dad had a strong work ethic which he passed on to his family. Despite not finishing high school, losing an eye in early life, having polio, having a bout with spinal meningitis, and getting a broken vertebrae in his neck, he overcame and had a get-the-job-done attitude toward everything he did. He was a risk taker, and my mom was significant to the extent that she limited the level of risk they took on. Having said that, his willingness to take risk was very much an element that drove many of his decisions, both good and bad. My parents were very much self-made, and they became successful through their own hard work, self-motivation, and self-reliance. My dad lived by the code of the West, and those principles were very much a part of his personal fabric, such as live each day with courage, take pride in your work, always finish what you start, do what has to be done, be tough but fair. When you make a promise, keep it. Ride for the brand. Talk less and say more. Remember that some things aren't for sale, and know where to draw the line. His word was his bond, and if he shook your hand on a deal, you could depend on him to live up to what he'd agreed to. He had very good integrity in this respect. Dad was always ready to provide a hand up to those who needed it, and he had no prejudice towards anyone who was looking to improve their situation as long as they were willing to work hard and do their part. He detested giving folks a handout and was critical of what he called government giveaway programs. Dad was all about self-reliance, pulling oneself up by the bootstraps, and hated anything that put people in the position of becoming dependent on the government for their survival. He was a staunch conservative and supported Republican political positions and candidates. Dad was very competitive, no matter what the stakes were, and he could be a formidable adversary. He loved to win, even if it was at the pool table with his sons-in-laws. Relationships were important to him, and he seemed to know everyone, and everyone seemed to know him. Part of this was because of the fact that while he traveled the world, he never lived very far from his birthplace in Outlook, Washington. The move from Patterson and Mesa in 1963, when the John Day Dam was going to flood our farm, was a big change for all of us. We moved everything, including the house, to Mesa. My 12-year-old self cried because I had lost my privacy by moving to the city. Yeah, Mesa. And we didn't even live in the city. That was when the change from predominantly farming to cattle occurred. We went to the one and only vacation we ever took, since having cattle is a 24/7, 365 days per year job. While still farming, Dad also raised cows and calves in feedlots and ran cattle on several ranges. When we became old enough, my sister and I were his crew and spent many hours and days on horseback herding cattle and doing just whatever he needed done. It was a great growing up experience. At times, Dad had cattle scattered around Washington and Oregon. Dad and Mom purchased the Lenz farm on Highway 395 north of Pasco in 1978. They built potato storages there to support the farming operation. After retiring, they rented the farm to Ron and Sandra, my brother-in-law and sister. In 2005, the farm was put into the family LLC that still owns the land. Ron and Harold Worsham continue to farm it. In closing, I particularly want to thank Ron and Georgia Perkins for all of their research and work to put this nomination together. Without their efforts, none of this would have happened. Thank you, Ron and Georgia.
I have a little statement to make that the Pioneer Award, my folks come here when the basin was broke out. And the Pioneer Award is the women just as much as the men. There was nothing here. They lived in shacks and tents and everything else to break out the basin. Sand blew, they'd crawl out the window to open the door. So I think Bonnie deserves as much. But anyway, Harold was my father-in-law, and we made 1,000,000 miles together. Some of them good, some of them bad. But we traveled all over. We had cattle feeding in Canada and cattle feeding here. And I just got a couple little stories. One day, Harold was relatively well known around the Tri-Cities by the State Patrol. He had a rather heavy foot. So him and I were going up the valley one day to the feedlot up there, had cattle up there, and I was driving. Anyway, we get pulled over. And he's sitting over there jabbing me about me getting pulled over. And that was about the time the seatbelt law come into effect. And I had mine on. And State Patrol, Trunky, come up to the door. We knew the State Patrol well. Anyway, the State Patrol come up the door. He tapped on my window and rolled it down, and he says, you know, your passenger's supposed to have his seatbelt on. And he started chewing on me. And I says, whoa, sir. I says, have you ever tried to teach an old dog new tricks? And he looked at me and kind of grinned, and he walked around the other side of the car, and he tapped on Harold's window till he rolled it down, and then he proceeded to tell him how to put his seatbelt on, and he took both our license. Goes back to the car, and when he come up to the car, he gave me my license, and he gave me Harold's with a ticket. I didn't get a ticket. Anyway, we traveled a lot of miles through Oregon and running cows and doing all kinds of things. But it started out 1965 this month. There was this little redheaded girl that I kind of wanted to get to know. And I showed up down there on my motorcycle in the middle of winter. And Bonnie had a large round table in her kitchen. And everything happened at that table. I mean, selling cattle, buying cattle, whatever went on in that place, even at Pasco, that large round table. And so I showed up there with a friend of mine, and I was going to check this little gal out. I never met her or Harold that day, but I had a long visit with Bonnie. And we had homemade pie and ice cream and all kinds of things. And so I must have passed the test, because it was about 2 weeks later, I was going there in my car, and Lucille Bailey, the neighbor to the south, called Bonnie and says, do not let either one of your daughters go out with that wild kid. But Bonnie was as much a part of the deal as Harold. And that's the way the whole basin was developed that way, with the men and the women, because the men didn't do it by themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. Well deserved. All right, and that brings us to our final award, the Ag Hall of Fame Stewardship Award, honoring individuals that are actively displaying exemplary community involvement and enhancing agribusiness through leadership or technology development. This award is sponsored by Basin Pacific Insurance. Would you please help me welcome to the stage Corey and Jared Balcom, who will tell us a little bit about our 2023 Ag Hall of Fame Stewardship Award inductee and their dad, Maury Balcom.
Well, thank you. As he mentioned, my name is Corey Balcom, and I'm here to introduce my dad, Maury Balcom. There's a name correlation if you can't tell here. I'm going to kick it off, and then I'm going to turn it over to my much older brother, Jared, who I might mention is also a Hall of Famer. He got the Young Agribusinessman Award in 2011, and I just need to know if that expires because he's going to freestyle his speech because he said this font is too small for him to read. So, we'll be good. Okay. And then my dad's going to speak, and he's going to freestyle, which is kind of alarming. If you know him, it's going to be scary. We luckily brought Ken Miller, our attorney, and he is going to do damage control after. But just to tell you a little bit about my dad and his engagement in the industry and his impact over the years, he grew up in Tucson, Arizona, a little unusual for the ag business, with his mom, and then spent his summers in Ellensburg on the ranch with his dad. He graduated from Fresno State University in viticulture and enology in 1974 and quickly came back up here to the Columbia Basin to work on the farm. In 1975, he diversified our farming operations by adding a fruit division to include cherries, wine grapes, table grapes, and apples. In 1984, he started his first winery, Quarry Lake, which was later called Balcom Winery. And then he also, in 1984, joined the Class 7 of the Ag Forestry Leadership Program. Today, he is retired. Oh, actually, I was going to add something. There's been a real theme here about ag teachers and ag leaders, and in 1993, we decided to do 4-H. My dad never raised animals. I obviously was 9 years old, and so I want to give a shout out to all of the ag teachers here for the work they do. My ag leader, Mr. Kenyon, is here, and we had no idea what we were doing. We had no clue, and so we are just thankful for all of the work that the ag teachers do in our community. So if you have an opportunity, please support them and their efforts. Today, my dad is partially retired. He lives and works on our farm during the growing season and then spends his winters in sunny Arizona. His service to the industry, tonight he's getting the Stewardship Award. It's basically for all of the service he has given to the industry over the years, serving on numerous boards and committees, some of which include the Washington Wine Growers Board of Directors, the Washington State Ag Commission, or Wine Commission, TRIDEC, and many others. But the most notable is the work that he has done as Board of Director for the South Columbia Irrigation District. We had a debate. He's been on that board since somewhere between 1993 and 1997. Not really sure, lost track, but almost 30 years he's been serving for water rights for everybody in our community. I think no matter what commodity you're in, we all need water, and it's super important to us. And so he's really committed his career and his retirement to continuing that effort. I once had a conversation. He was describing a really complicated water issue to me, and I asked him, man, you seem to know a lot about water. Like, before you started serving in the irrigation district, what did you know about water? And he looked at me and he said, I liked it in my scotch. So I think it's safe to say that after almost 30 years, he knows much more about water than he used to, and he certainly cares more about where it came from. So I'll introduce my brother now, Jared, to tell you a little bit more.
So I'm her brother, but she's just learned a life lesson that you don't throw your brother under the bus and then hand him the microphone. So You'll notice that she said that I'm her much older brother. There's a story behind that, and this is kind of par for our family. Our family likes to have fun, and we like to tease each other, and my dad taught us that at a very young age. I introduce her as my older sister to anybody that I can, and about 90% buy it. And so she's still furious about that, but that will never ever stop as long as we live. My sister did a great job of kind of giving a story and the history behind my dad. So I'm just going to do a couple real quick things. So there's kind of two things that Dad taught us growing up. One is professional and one is kind of personal. But from a professional standpoint, and Ken Miller's not going to believe this, but my dad taught me and my sister to work really, really hard. Work hard at what you do, love what you do, and put forth the effort. My sister and I took that to heart and work as hard as we possibly can. My dad only works when he has to and has learned how to avoid that. But he's smarter than we are. And I think Ken Miller will agree with that. The other thing is that find something that is a passion of yours. And ag has always been a passion for him. He passed that on to me. He passed that on to my sister. We're both in the ag industry. And he just loved what he did. And growing up, we just learned to watch that. He might come home and complain a little bit, but you know what? He got up the next day and he busted his butt to get done what needed to get done. And he passed that on to my sister and I, which we are super, super grateful for. The other thing is kind of a personal thing that passes on in our company, and we've carried that forward for 4 generations, and that is that family comes first, and whatever business you're doing, you always take care of your employees, and you make sure that family is the most important thing. And my dad passed that on to me, and I'm trying to pass that forward. My sister is trying to pass that forward. And so we as kids, the younger one and the older one, are just super blessed and super thankful for what he did for us and the things that he taught us to move forward. So I think there's a little film here. I don't know what's on it, Dad, but see you on film is going to be kind of good. So I'm going to step away to that, and then he'll come up on the stage.
Started in the industry, I think, when I was basically born, I guess. I started working on my dad's cattle ranch in Ellensburg when I was just a young kid, and worked for him during the summers until I graduated from high school. And then I was sent down to the farm to Pasco here to start work. That was back in 1968. And I loved the work. I loved that, something I always wanted to do. And so after high school, I went to college and got a degree in winemaking and grape growing, and came back up here and wanted to start an industry. A typical day on the farm is anything but typical. Every day is different, and that's what makes it so wonderful. You know, every morning I look out the window and think about what that day has in store for me. Advice I'd give to somebody who wanted to come into my line of work, I hate to say it, but probably don't. But, if people like me that really want to do it. So I'd say take other classes other than agriculture. Business is something that's necessary now that people who want to be in agriculture have to have. My father was a believer in that you gave back to the community, and he did in his communities where he lived. And it was kind of expected in our company that we did as well. So I started off on the board of directors of the Pasco Chamber of Commerce, for instance. What's the best part of what I do? Everything is incredible. Being outside every day is number one for me. I couldn't survive if I had to be cooped up in an office. I've had a great life, and I really enjoy being able to do what I've done.
So here to present the Pioneer Award is Randy Taylor with Basin Pacific Insurance.
Hello, I'm Randy Taylor, Basin Pacific Insurance Benefits and Bonding. We are so pleased to again sponsor this award, and it couldn't go to a better person. Thank you.
Well, first I want to bring up Jared back up here. Hold that. I mean, we should check our wardrobes. Isn't he cute? I think I'll call him Mini-Me. I love these kids. You know, for a farmer, it's nothing better than to have your kids follow in your footsteps. You know, and Jared's running the farm now, and Corey's over at the WSU Wine Science Center. What a great experience. You know, I grew up in the ag industry. My dad, my grandfather was quite a character in the Yakima Valley. He was a pool hustler, a card shark, and one of the best golfers in the state, and actually state champion. So I didn't get any of those talents, so I had to do something else, and that was probably farming. So I did most of my speech right up there. I don't know where to start now. But I showed up in Pasco in 1968, 2 days after I graduated from high school. Took me 2 days to get here from Tucson because I had to siphon gas along the way because I had no money. But that's all right. I showed up. The next day I'm working nights, moving hand lines and wheel lines 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. I'm going, is this what I'm going to be doing? And I go, yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing. And I loved it. I progressed from that. I moved up the ladder, the corporate ladder, to loading 100-pound sacks of potatoes, 18 a minute into boxcars. And is this what I'm going to be doing? Well, apparently it is. Fortunately, I don't do that anymore, but you never know. With Jared running the farm, I may have to go back to doing that. So I started in '68. I just wanted to be a farmer, but Vietnam was on my, looking down on me right here, and anything to stay in college. The draft came around. My number was 364. I figured they'd have to draft my mother before they took me. She's Canadian. And I thought, wait a minute, she's Canadian? Well, I don't have to worry. Oh, well. So I came here, I worked, I went back to college, came back, went to college. Finally, Dad realized that I really was, wanted to do this. He was a lover of wine. He loved wine, and he grew up in the Yakima Valley back when, post-Prohibition, and there was still wineries that were making some really quality wines. He says, you want to learn how to make wine? Grow grapes. I go, yeah. He goes, bingo. So off I went to California to get an internship with Wenny Brothers. From there, I went to Fresno State to get a degree in enology and viticulture, and I came back here. All the time during the summers, we were developing vineyards, and this was '71 when there were no vineyards in this area, or actually really no wine grapes being grown that much in the Yakima Valley. So here I am. Well, we didn't know what was going on. We did whatever we could, and we tried to get WSU to help us. We, whatever help we could get. A few more vineyards came in, a few more vineyards came in. but not a lot of help from anybody else, you know. And finally we get WSU to help out, and people like Jeff Gordon, who's sitting out here somewhere, and I and a number of people got thinking about what can we do to be able to help this industry out. Well, we finally go, well, what the hell are we going to do? We just keep going along. Meanwhile, my boss, Otto Geisert, who maybe some of you people remember out there, he was kind of a leader in the community and involved in just about everything that there was to do here. He was getting ready to retire, so he started handing off some of his responsibilities to me. One of them was Pasco Chamber of Commerce Board. So I get involved with the Pasco Chamber, that was great. He suggested that I get involved with the ag forestry program. All right, so I get in that. And part of the graduation of that was you had to have this, almost like a thesis program. You had to identify a social problem and also a remedy for it. Well, of course, we're a bunch of lazy people, and we hadn't really thought about what we were going to do. And the last minute was like, oh, hell, the clock's ticking here. We have to do something. So I said, well, we just got in the wine business. We can't afford to do marketing. We need to have somebody help us out. So, bingo, Wine Commission came to mind. And so we thought, well, that's good. And Wine Commission is a pretty easy thing to put together, but we had to complicate it a little bit. We wanted the state to give us back our tax money to support our industry so we can give them more money. Seemed to us to be a very reasonable thing to do, but it wasn't that way when we came to graduation. Our board that was analyzing what we have done were a bunch of legislatures, and they just ripped us a new one. So you want the state to give you tax money back to do what you want to do? Well, yeah, we gave it to them. You know, let's get a little bit back. Well, they said no. You know, it's not going to work. Anyway, I graduated. That's a good thing. So I took this legislation that we had proposed and talked to Jeff Gordon and the Wine Growers Association that I was on the board of at the time, and they thought it was a great idea. We went to the Wine Institute, handled their lobbying and part of their deal. They thought it was a pretty good deal. So let's do it. And they all look at me and I'm going, what do you mean? Let's, you know. Anyway, so for the next, every week I was in DC or in Olympia trying to put this thing together. And it actually worked. They actually bought off on the fact that they're going to give us our tax dollars back for us to generate more tax money for them and tourism and all the money that comes along with that. Hello, Olympia, what are you doing? You know, you're not smart enough to do that. So anyway, we got the bill, you know, through the legislature and signed by the governor. And that was about 84, I think, or 85. We had 25 wineries at that time. We have over 1,000 now. So apparently what we did worked. And it was pretty good. But the real kicker on the whole thing was that California was the one who was paying all the tax. We only had a little sliver of the market. California's wine tax was paying to develop the Washington wine industry. Now that's what you call politics. So from there, I get a call from Shannon McDaniel. I don't know if anybody remembers Shannon. He was manager of the Columbia Basin Irrigation District at the time. He said, like, our board director, Roger Zaneff, had passed away. Roger had been on the board for like 25 years and never got a drop of water, not a drop. He was out in the boondocks, but this guy was amazing. So I had to fill his footsteps. And Shannon took me under his wing and brought me along. And believe me, the irrigation district is a huge business. And it's so complicated. It takes years to get to know what's going on. And I fought through it. Shannon fought with me on it, and we finally got things, under control, or at least on my point anyway. Got to figure out my notes here. But anyway, so all of a sudden I'm on the board of the Columbia Basin Irrigation District. And for you, I'm sure most of you know what it's all about. But the South District is the lifeblood of this community. I mean, we provide the water that fuels the ag industry here. And the 110 employees that we have there, they're the ones who should be here celebrating this award. They're the ones who provide the water to us to make this happen. And when you look in ag today, and California's out of water. I spend the winter in Arizona. Water, we don't know what that is. Everywhere it's drying up, except for the Columbia Basin. We have more water than we know what to do with. We're sitting on 6 million acre feet of water underneath Pasco today that was provided by the Columbia Basin Irrigation District and the 2 other districts. That water is now becoming available for us to market to other areas. This is a truly amazing thing that we have here. On my time at on the board, we all have our assigned positions, and mine is one of them is on the Washington State Water Resources Committee. We're basically the political arm of all of the irrigation districts in Washington. And I love doing it. I'm in DC every year dealing with all of the politics that involve with water. It's a truly fascinating experience. We have a district now that's getting older in years. We're now, most of our systems are 50, 60, 70 years old. And over the term, I've sat on committees that deal with rebuilding the pumping plants at Grand Coulee Dam. I'm a farmer. I don't know anything about BPA and all this. What I do now is I just sit in front of these people, or, dealing with the ownership of Grand Coulee and the pumping plants and everything that comes down from that. It's truly amazing. I love every minute of it. And I really appreciate my son Jared, who is now on the board with me, and the other board members, J.J. Dans, Charlie Lyle, Dick Conrad, who make this happen, that provide the water that feeds what we do for a living. It's truly amazing, truly amazing. So I probably spent too much time up here, and I really appreciate what Pasco Chamber has done. They've come a long way since I was on the board, that's for sure. So to you, thank you for being here. Thank my family who are sitting out there, my best friends who are over in the children's table over to the right there. But it's really been a wonderful experience for me, and I appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Just a quick aside, by pure coincidence, our last two awardees, as they were ready to divest themselves of some of their land, work with the Port of Pasco and with the Cox family. It's where you now see the new research plant, and soon to be a few others on that land. And on the Balcom property is where Dairy Gold is building the country's largest dairy processing plant. So I appreciate both of those families being willing to work with the port on that. Well, I hope you will please join me in honoring all of our new inductees, Carol Travis, Charlie Dancy, Harold Cox, and Maury Balcom, with a final round of applause. We're going to ask all of our inductees to please make their way to the back of the room in the reception area before it gets too crowded to walk back there, so that we can greet you after the program. So if you're an inductee, please go ahead, get up, and make your way to the back area there for your well-wishers. We want to thank again all of our sponsors for their help tonight, and for all of you for attending. This really has been a great night because of you here. Special thanks again to the Ag Hall of Fame Committee and countless others who have made this evening successful, including Mercer Estates, Knights Welding for the beautiful awards, Minuteman Press Printing, Sash Events, Ellen's Chair Covers for the beautiful chair covers, Bray Captures, and the Red Lion Chef and staff for all their efforts. We know how hard you worked. Please help me thanking them. And now I'll turn it back to Colin to close out our program.
Well, thank you, Randy, and just a couple quick closing points. If you have somebody in mind that you think is worthy of this type of recognition, please consider nominating this person. You know, this event is powered by you, the peers of the ag industry. A couple housekeeping notes. If you don't mind, on your way out, if you leave your name badges, we like to recycle those. We are a nonprofit, of course. And so on the way out, we have a little box there if you want to drop it in. And if you haven't made a donation yet to the Cultivating Your Future grant, please do so. And thank you to all those that did contribute tonight. Have a good night. We'll see you next year.